Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the human ship Endeavour, watching the massive space station grow larger on the main screen. The Galactic Council's capital station was bigger than anything humans had ever built. It looked like a giant crystal flower floating in space with 12 curved arms reaching out like petals. Each arm belonged to one of the 12 alien races that ruled the galaxy. "We're really here," said Dr. Lisa Warren, the ship's science officer. She was a small woman with bright eyes who had spent her whole life studying alien life. Now she was about to meet real aliens for the first time. After all these years of dreaming about this moment, Colonel Ben Carter, the military advisor, checked his uniform one more time. He was a big man with gray hair and serious eyes. "Remember, we represent all of humanity today. Every word we say matters." Alex Turner, the cultural expert, nodded. He had learned everything he could about the 12 alien races. "The Zephyrians will speak first. They're the oldest race in the council. They look like tall, thin humans, but with silver skin and no hair. They consider themselves the most wise." Jake took a deep breath. Humanity had waited 50 years for this day. Ever since the Zephyrian scout ships had found Earth, humans had worked hard to prove they deserved a place in the galactic community. They had stopped all wars, cleaned up their planet, and built their first real spaceships. Today, the Galactic Council would decide if humans could join them. The Endeavour docked with the station. Jake and his team walked through long hallways filled with aliens they had only seen in pictures. There were the crystal-like Vorthak, who looked like living diamonds. The Nereid moved in water-filled suits, their tentacles waving as they swam. The insect-like Klaxon clicked and buzzed as they walked on 6 legs. None of the aliens looked at the humans. Some even moved away when they saw them coming. "They don't seem happy to see us," Lisa whispered. "Maybe they're just nervous too," Alex said, but he didn't sound sure. The council chamber was huge. 12 raised platforms surrounded a small area in the center where the humans would stand. Each platform held the representatives of one alien race. The room was beautiful with walls that seemed to be made of living light. But something felt wrong. The air was cold and none of the aliens were talking to each other. Jake led his team to the center. The humans looked very small compared to the giant room and the alien beings staring down at them. Elder Zixathera of the Zephyrians stood up. She was tall and thin, with silver skin that seemed to glow. Her large black eyes looked at the humans like they were studying insects. "We have called this meeting," she said in a voice that sounded like music, "to judge whether the species called humans can join our galactic community." Jake stepped forward. "Thank you, honored elder. We come in peace, hoping to learn and share. With all the races of the galaxy, humanity has much to offer." "Yes," said Elder Zixthera. "We have studied your species very carefully. We have seen your history." A large screen appeared in the air above the humans. Pictures began to show. Jake's heart dropped as he saw what the aliens had chosen to display. Wars, bombs exploding, cities burning, animals going extinct, pollution covering the earth. "You call yourselves intelligent," said a Vorthak representative, its crystal body flashing with angry red light. "But look at what you have done to your own planet." "We have changed," Jake said quickly. "Those things happened long ago. We learned from our mistakes. We have had peace on Earth for 20 years now." 20 years, laughed a Klaxon, its voice sounding like breaking glass. "We have had peace for 2,000 years. Your species is too young, too violent." The Nereid representative floated in its water tank. "You still have weapons. You still have armies. Even now you bring a military officer to a peaceful meeting." Colonel Carter stepped forward. "We brought protection because we didn't know what to expect. But we came here to talk, not to fight." "This proves our point," said Elder Zixthera. "You think in terms of protection and fighting. We think in terms of harmony and peace." Dr. Warren tried to speak. "But we've made great progress in science. We've learned to work together. We could help other species, share our knowledge." "Your knowledge?" The Zephyrian elder's voice became cold. "You have barely left your own star system. What could you possibly teach us?" More pictures appeared. Humans cutting down forests, humans killing animals, humans fighting wars throughout history. Every species makes mistakes when they are young, Alex said. Surely your own races had problems when they first developed. Not like this, said a representative Jake didn't recognize. It looked like a walking tree. We have never seen such violence from an intelligent species. You fight your own kind. You destroy your own home. This is not normal. Jake felt anger rising in his chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. We are not perfect, but we are trying to be better. Give us a chance to prove ourselves. We have seen enough, Elder Zixathera announced. The council will now vote. One by one, each alien race voted. The Zephyrians voted no. The Vorthak voted no. The Nereid voted no. Every single race voted to reject humanity. The decision is final, Elder Zixathera said. The species known as humans is incompatible with galactic civilization. You are hereby exiled from all council, space. Any human ship found beyond your solar system will be destroyed without warning. Jake couldn't believe what he was hearing. You're making a mistake. We came here in peace. We want to learn. You are too dangerous, the elder replied. Your nature is chaos and violence. We cannot risk the peace we have built for thousands of years. But we've changed, Lisa said, tears in her eyes. We're not the same as we were. You cannot change. What you are, said the Vorthak. Violence is in your nature, war is in your blood. The humans were escorted back to their ship by alien guards who wouldn't look at them or speak to them. Jake felt like the walk back to the Endeavor took forever. His team was quiet. Everyone was in shock. As their ship left the station, Jake stood on the bridge one more time. The beautiful crystal flower was already growing smaller behind them. What do we tell Earth? Colonel Carter asked. Jake watched the station disappear. We tell them the truth. The galaxy doesn't want us. So, what do we do now? Lisa asked. Jake turned to face his crew. For the first time since the meeting, he smiled. It wasn't a happy smile, but it was determined. We show them they were wrong, he said. If they won't let us join their galaxy, we'll build our own. The journey back to Earth took 3 months. When they arrived, Jake gave his report to the World Council. The news spread across the planet in hours. Humanity had been rejected by the galaxy before they even had a chance to prove themselves. But something unexpected happened. Instead of giving up, humans became more united than ever before. The rejection hurt, but it also made them angry. If the galaxy thought humans were too violent and chaotic to join them, then humans would prove they could build something better, on their own. President Kate Sullivan spoke to the world that night. They have underestimated us, she said. They think we are weak because we have struggled. They think we are dangerous because we have fought. But our struggles have made us strong. Our conflicts have taught us the value of peace. We will show them what humanity can really do. The age of human expansion was about to begin. 25 years had passed since the Galactic Council rejected humanity. The Earth looked very different now. Where once there had been many countries fighting each other, now there was only one government called the United Earth Federation. All the old borders were gone. All the armies had joined together. Humans had one goal now, to prove the galaxy wrong. Admiral Ryan Brooks stood in the command center of the massive ship called New Hope. It was the largest ship humans had ever built, big enough to carry 50,000 people to a new world. Behind it followed 20 more ships just like it, each one filled with families ready to start new lives among the stars. How are our passengers doing? Ryan asked his second officer, Commander Nina Rodriguez. She was a young woman with dark hair who had been born in space. Her parents were part of the first generation to grow up knowing about the alien rejection. Excited and nervous, Nina replied. Most of them have never been away from Earth before, but they're ready to build something new. In the ship's main laboratory, Dr. Maria Santos worked on her latest project. She was an engineer who had spent years learning how to change dead planets into worlds where humans could live. Her machines could make air, clean water, and even change the soil so plants could grow. The readings looked good, she told her assistant, Dr. Paul Mitchell. Paul was a scientist who studied how to help humans live on different types of worlds. The planet we're heading to has the right size and distance from its sun. My machines should be able to make it livable in just a few years. Paul nodded. And if needed, I can help people adapt to the new environment. We've learned so much about human biology in the past 20 years. The human fleet was heading toward the edge of the galaxy, far away from where the Council races lived. The Council had called these areas the dead zones because they thought nothing useful was there. But human scouts had found something different. These regions were full of resources and life that the Council had ignored. After 6 months of travel, the fleet reached their destination. The planet they found was beautiful but damaged. The air was too thin to breathe and the water was polluted, but it had everything humans needed to make it better. Perfect, Maria said as she looked at the readings. We can fix this. The first colony was started by a man named Steve Johnson. He had been a city planner on Earth, and now he was building humanity's first city on another world. They called the planet New Montana because it reminded them of the wide open spaces back on Earth. Remember, Steve told his team as they set up the first buildings, we're not just building a city, we're building the future of humanity. Every choice we make here will affect generations to come. As the humans worked on their new world, they discovered they were not alone. Living in caves beneath the surface were reptile-like creatures called the HFY. They were about the same size as humans but covered in green scales. They had large eyes and long tails, and they were very intelligent. The HFY were dying. Their world had been slowly poisoning them for hundreds of years. They had tried to fix the problems but didn't have the right technology. When the humans found them, most of the HFY expected to be enslaved or killed. That's what usually happened when stronger species found weaker ones in the galaxy. But the humans surprised them. We want to help, Steve said to Krendar, the leader of the local HFY tribe. They communicated using simple pictures and gestures at first, until both sides could learn each other's languages. Why? Krendar asked. You are strong, we are weak. Why help us? Steve thought about the question. Because it's the right thing to do, and because we know what it's like to be rejected and alone. The humans shared their technology with the HFY. Maria's machines cleaned the air and water that had been poisoning them for centuries. Paul's medical knowledge helped cure diseases that had been killing HFY children. In return, the HFY taught humans about the local plants and animals, and how to live safely on the planet. This was something completely new in the galaxy. The Council races had a rule called the Prime Directive. They never interfered with less advanced species. They would watch them struggle and die rather than help them, but humans believed in helping those who needed it. Commander Nina Rodriguez made the most important discovery while exploring the outer regions of the system. Her scout ship found the ruins of an ancient city on a dead moon. The buildings were millions of years old, much older than the Galactic Council. Admiral, you need to see this, Nina called over the radio. Ryan and a team of scientists flew to the moon to investigate. What they found changed everything they thought they knew about the galaxy. The ruins showed that long ago the galaxy had been full of many different species all working together. There were signs of trade, art, science, and cooperation between hundreds of different races. But something had happened to destroy it all. Dr. Carol Hayes, the team's historian, studied the ancient writings they found carved into the walls. This is incredible, she said. These inscriptions talk about a golden age when species freely shared knowledge and helped each other grow. What happened to them all? Ryan asked. Carol pointed to the final carvings. According to this, they were suppressed by something called the Council of 12. It says the Council believed that too much change and cooperation was dangerous. They wanted stability above all else. The truth was shocking. The Galactic Council that had rejected humanity wasn't the first galactic government. They had destroyed an earlier, more open civilization and replaced it with their rigid system of control. They didn't just reject us, Ryan realized. They've been rejecting progress for millions of years. News of the discovery spread through the human colonies. More ships arrived from Earth bringing more people and supplies. The partnership with the HFY grew stronger every day. Soon other species in the region began to contact the humans. The Hivetar were insect-like creatures who had been enslaved by species that worked with the Council. They heard about how humans treated the Kethvi as equals and came asking for help to free their people. The Wanderer fleets were groups of nomads who traveled between stars in old, worn-out ships. The Council considered them pirates and criminals, but the humans discovered they were just families trying to survive after their homeworlds had been destroyed. One by one, species that had been ignored, rejected, or oppressed by the Council found their way to human space. The humans welcomed them all. Steve Johnson, now the governor of New Montana, signed the first treaty of friendship with the Kethvi. It established both species as equal partners in building their new world. Today, we start something new, Steve said at the signing ceremony. Not an empire built on conquest, but a federation built on cooperation. The ceremony was attended by representatives from 6 different species. For the first time in millions of years, different races were working together as equals in the Galaxy. President Kate Sullivan watched the ceremony from Earth via video link. She smiled as she saw humans and aliens standing together, working toward a common goal. The Council thought we were too chaotic and violent to join their galaxy, she said to her advisors. But maybe chaos and violence aren't always bad things. Maybe sometimes you need to shake things up to make them better. The human expansion was no longer just about proving the Council wrong. It was about building something better than what the Council had created. The foundation of the Terran Federation had been laid, and it was growing stronger every day. 50 years had passed since the exile, and the galaxy was a very different place. Fleet Admiral Tony Garcia stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Defiance, watching his fleet move through space. 200 human warships flew in perfect formation, each one more advanced than anything the Galactic Council had ever built. Behind them came supply ships, colony vessels, and diplomatic craft carrying representatives from dozens of alien species. The Terran Federation now controlled over 200 worlds across the galactic rim. What had started as a few human colonies had grown into something the galaxy had never seen before. A true alliance of different species working together as equals. "Admiral, we're receiving a message from Director Price on New Terra," said Captain Luke Evans, Tony's second-in-command. Luke was a young officer who had been born on New Montana, part of the first generation of humans to grow up among the stars. Director Helen Price appeared on the main screen. She was the head of Colonial Affairs, responsible for managing all the Federation worlds. Her office on New Terra, the Federation's capital world, overlooked a city where humans, Kethvi, Hivetar, and dozens of other species lived and worked together. "Admiral, we have a situation," Helen said. 3 more Council member species have sent secret messages asking about joining the Federation. The Aquari Empire, the Stone Builders, and the Light Dancers are all considering leaving the Council. Tony smiled. "How many does that make this year?" 12 species have officially asked to join us, and at least 20 more have sent unofficial contacts, Helen replied. The Council is starting to fall apart. The reason was simple. Life in the Federation was better than life under the Council. In Federation space, species could trade freely, share technology, and help each other solve problems. Young species were given help to develop instead of being left to struggle alone. Old species found new purpose in teaching and guiding others. Dr. Carol Hayes had spent the past decade studying the ancient ruins found throughout Federation space. Her team had uncovered the full truth about galactic history, and it was even worse than they had first thought. "The evidence is clear," Carol explained to the Federation Council during their monthly meeting. "The Galactic Council has deliberately kept the galaxy from advancing for over 2 million years. They destroyed at least 3 different galactic civilizations that came before them." She showed holographic images of ruined worlds and dead cities. Each time a new alliance of species began to grow and prosper, the Council declared them dangerous to galactic stability and destroyed them. They've been doing the same thing over and over again. The meeting was held in the Great Hall on New Terra. Representatives from 47 different species sat together, discussing the future of their alliance. It was a sight that would have been impossible under the Council's rule. Krendar, now the Kethvi ambassador to the Federation, spoke up. "My people have oral histories that speak of the time of many voices, a golden age when all species were free to grow and learn. We thought they were just stories, but now we know they were memories. Hive Queen Zaxth, speaking for the insect-like Hivetar, clicked her approval. The council told us we were too primitive to understand advanced concepts. But working with humans, we have built ships that travel faster than council vessels. The Federation's success wasn't just making the council's member species jealous. It was making the council leaders angry and afraid. They had spent millions of years maintaining their control over the galaxy, and now humans were proving there was a better way. The breaking point came when a Federation research station was attacked without warning. Commander Sarah Blake was leading a team of scientists studying an ancient artifact near the border of Council space. The station, called Deep Hope, was clearly in Federation territory, but Council ships attacked anyway. "This is Council Fleet Commander Zethmal," came the threatening message. "You are violating the boundaries of civilized space. Surrender or be destroyed." Sarah looked at her small crew of researchers. They had only one old patrol ship for protection, while the Council had sent 5 heavy cruisers. "This is Commander Blake," she replied. "We are in Federation space conducting peaceful research. You have no authority here. All space beyond the rim belongs to chaos and darkness," Zethmal responded. "We will not allow your corruption to spread." The Council ships opened fire, but they had made a mistake. The Federation had been preparing for this day for years. Captain. Luke Evans arrived with the Federation's new rapid response fleet just as Deep Hope's shields were failing. His ship, the Liberty, was one of the new class of Federation vessels built using technology shared between multiple species. "This is Captain Evans of the Terran Federation. You are attacking a peaceful research station in our territory. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Zethmal laughed. "You primitive humans think you can threaten the Council? We have ruled this galaxy for millions of years." "Maybe that's the problem," Luke replied. The battle that followed shocked the galaxy. The Council ships were powerful, but they were old designs that hadn't changed in thousands of years. The Federation ships used new technology that combined human engineering, Kethvi energy systems, Hivetar computer networks, and innovations from a dozen other species. The Council cruisers were defeated in less than an hour. 3 were destroyed, and 2 were captured along with their crews. When the prisoners were questioned, they revealed something that changed everything. The Council was splitting apart from the inside. Several member species were secretly supporting the Federation, while others wanted to destroy humanity completely before it was too late. "The old species are terrified," explained Zarathul, a captured Council officer. "They have built their entire civilization on the idea that their way is the only way. Your Federation proves them wrong, and they cannot accept that." Admiral Garcia called an emergency meeting of the Federation's military leaders. The captured Council ships had given them valuable intelligence about Council defenses and battle plans. "They're planning a massive attack," Tony explained to his officers. "Every loyal Council species is being asked to contribute ships. They want to destroy the Federation before it grows any stronger." Captain Evans studied the intelligence reports. "How many ships are we talking about?" "At least 3,000, Tony replied. "The largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history." The news spread quickly through Federation space. Some species were frightened and wanted to make peace with the Council, but most were angry. They had found freedom and prosperity in the Federation, and they weren't going to give it up without a fight. The Federation's response surprised everyone. Instead of preparing for a defensive war, they went on the offensive diplomatically. Ambassador Rebecca Stone, humanity's best negotiator, led a team to contact every species in the galaxy. Not just Council members, but also the hundreds of primitive species that the Council ignored. "We're offering them what the Council never has, a choice," Rebecca explained. "They can join us willingly, or they can stay neutral. But they don't have to live under Council rule anymore." The response was incredible. Species that had been suppressed for thousands of years suddenly saw hope for the first time. Even some Council worlds began to revolt against their own governments. Thus, Rim Accords were signed on New Terra 3 months later. 47 species formally joined the Federation as equal members. But more importantly, over 200 other species signed agreements of friendship and mutual support. President Adam Kelly, who had replaced Kate Sullivan as Earth's leader, stood before the assembled delegates for the signing ceremony. "Today we prove that cooperation is stronger than control," Adam said. "That freedom is more powerful than fear. The council rejected us because they said we were too chaotic and violent. But chaos can create new things, and sometimes violence is necessary to protect what is right." The ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy. Billions of beings watched as species that had never been allowed to interact suddenly came together as allies. That night, Admiral Garcia stood on his ship's observation deck, looking out at the Federation fleet. Ships from dozens of worlds flew, together in formations that would have been impossible under Council rule. His aide, Commander Lisa Murphy, joined him. "Sir, intelligence reports say the Council is mobilizing their entire military. This is going to be the biggest war in galactic history," Tony nodded. "Let them come. We're not the same species they rejected 50 years ago. We've learned, we've grown, and we've made friends. The Council is about to find out what happens when you underestimate humanity." The final confrontation was coming, and the galaxy would never be the same. 75 years had passed since humanity's exile, and the galaxy stood on the edge of its greatest war. Emperor Nathan Clark looked out from his office on New Earth, the capital of what was now called the Greater Terran Empire. The city below was alive with activity as beings from over 100 different species worked together, preparing for the coming battle. Nathan was the first human to be elected as emperor by all the member species of the Federation. The title sounded impressive, but he was really more like a president who served all the allied worlds. Every major decision was made by vote, with each species having an equal voice. "The Council fleet is 3 days away," reported Marshal Grace Phillips, the Federation's top military commander. Grace was a tough woman who had grown up on the frontier worlds. She had fought in dozens of battles against Council forces over the years. "Our scouts count over 4,000 ships. It's the largest invasion fleet in galactic history," Nathan nodded calmly. "And our forces?" 6,000 ships from 93 different species," Grace replied. "We also have support from another 200 species who are sending supplies and intelligence. The whole galaxy is choosing sides." The Council's invasion was led by Admiral Zethkar of the Zephyrians, the same species that had first rejected humanity. He was a fanatic who believed the Federation was a disease that had to be destroyed completely. His fleet included ships from all the remaining Council species and their allies. The battle would take place at New Montana, humanity's first colony world. It was both symbolic and strategic. If the Council could destroy the place where human expansion had begun, they hoped to break the Federation's spirit. But the Federation was ready. Admiral Frank Miller commanded the defense fleet from his flagship, the Unity. Frank was a tactical genius who had learned to coordinate battles between dozens of different species, each with their own fighting styles and technologies. "Remember," Frank told his fleet commanders over the radio, "we're not just fighting for our worlds. We're fighting for the idea that different people can work together. That cooperation is stronger than control." The two fleets met in the space around New Montana. The sight was incredible. Thousands of ships stretching across the darkness like two galaxies colliding. On one side were the Council ships, all built to the same ancient designs. On the other side were the Federation vessels, each one different, each one representing a unique species and culture. Admiral Zethkar spoke to the galaxy through an open broadcast. "Citizens of the galaxy, today we cleanse the universe of the human infection. These chaotic primitives have corrupted the natural order. When we are done, peace will return to the stars." Emperor Nathan responded from New Earth. "People of the galaxy, today we fight not for conquest but for freedom. We fight for the right of every species to choose their own path. We fight so that no one will ever again be told they are not good enough to join the galactic community." The battle began at dawn on New Montana. The Council attacked with overwhelming force, trying to break through the Federation lines quickly. Their ships were powerful, and their crews were experienced. But something unexpected happened. The Federation ships didn't fight like the Council expected. Instead of each ship fighting alone, they worked together in mixed groups. Human ships provided firepower while Kethavi vessels supplied energy shields. Hivetar ships coordinated communications, while Wanderer craft used their speed to outflank enemy positions. Every species contributed their best abilities to help the whole fleet. "This is impossible," Zethkar said, as he watched his forces being pushed back. "They're just primitives and outcasts. How can they fight so well together?" His second officer, Commander Veltar, studied the battle readings. "Sir, they're not fighting like separate fleets. They're fighting like one giant organism. Every ship knows what every other ship is doing." The turning point came when a group of Council ships broke through the Federation lines and headed straight for New Montana. The planet's surface was protected by defensive systems, but not enough to stop a full assault. Captain Roy Davis, commanding the Federation ship Courage, made a decision that would be remembered forever. His ship was badly damaged and couldn't escape, but it could still fight. "All ships, this is Captain Davis," he broadcast. "My ship is finished, but we can still protect the planet. Courage will ram the Council flagship." "Roy, no," came Admiral Miller's voice. "There has to be another way." "There is no other way," Roy replied calmly. "Tell my family I'm proud to serve the Federation." The Courage flew straight into the Council flagship, destroying both ships in a massive explosion. But Roy's sacrifice saved New Montana and gave the Federation fleet time to regroup. The battle raged for 6 hours. Ships from both sides were destroyed or damaged. But slowly, the Federation's teamwork began to win over the Council's individual strength. The end came when Admiral Zethkar's command ship was surrounded by Federation vessels from 12 different species. His shields were failing, and his weapons were destroyed. "Surrender," Admiral Miller offered over the radio. "Your fleet is beaten. There's no need for more dying." Zethkar was silent for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. "How did you do it? How did primitives defeat the masters of the galaxy?" "We're not primitives," Miller replied. "We're people who chose to work together instead of alone. That made us stronger than you ever imagined." The Council fleet surrendered. Of the 4,000 ships that had attacked, less than half survived. The Federation had won, but the cost had been high on both sides. In the aftermath of the battle, something remarkable happened. Delegations from the surviving Council species came to New Earth asking for peace talks. Elder Lysandra of the Zephyrians was the first to arrive. She was much younger than the elder who had rejected humanity 75 years ago, and she had grown up hearing stories about the Federation's success. "We were wrong," she said simply when she met with Emperor Nathan. "We judged you by your past instead of your potential. We feared change so much that we became the very thing we were trying to prevent, a force that held back progress." The peace negotiations took 3 months. Representatives from over 500 species came to New Earth to work out a new galactic government. The Council's old system of rule by the oldest species was replaced by a democratic assembly where every species had a voice. But the most important moment came during the final ceremony. Elder Lysandra stood before the Galactic Assembly and formally apologized for humanity's exile. 75 years ago, we rejected the humans because we said they were too violent and chaotic to join civilized society, she said. Today, I ask to join the civilization that they built from our rejection. Emperor Nathan's response surprised everyone. Instead of gloating about humanity's victory, he spoke about the future. "We accept your apology," Nathan said. "But more importantly, we accept you as partners in building a better galaxy." The Council was right about one thing. Humans can be violent and chaotic. But violence can protect the innocent, and chaos can create new possibilities. He gestured to the assembled delegates representing hundreds of different species working together. "What we've built here isn't a human empire. It's proof that the galaxy is big enough for everyone. That different doesn't mean dangerous. That cooperation is possible between any species willing to try." The ceremony ended with the signing of the new Galactic Charter. The document established principles that had never existed before. That every species had the right to develop freely. That help should be given to those who need it. and that no one group could rule over all others. That night, Emperor Nathan walked through the gardens of New Earth with his granddaughter Amy. She was 8 years old and had grown up playing with children from dozens of different species. "Grandpa," Amy asked, "why did the old council not like humans?" Nathan smiled as he watched alien children playing together under the stars. "They were afraid of us because we were different. They thought different was bad." "But different is good," Amy said, pointing to her friends. "Tommy is a Kethvi, and he can see in the dark. Sarah is a Hive-Tar, and she can talk to computers with her mind. Different makes things more fun." Nathan picked up his granddaughter and hugged her. "That's exactly right, Amy. Different makes things better." As he looked up at the stars, Nathan thought about the long journey that had brought humanity to this moment. The Council's rejection had hurt, but it had also freed humans to become something better than what they might have been. The galaxy that humanity had built wasn't perfect, but it was growing and changing and full of possibilities. And that, Nathan realized, was exactly what the old council had been afraid of all along.